What will happen to Colt Gray in prison? Now, as we all know, Colt Gray is responsible for killing 4 people at his high school. He is a juvenile that is now being charged as an adult. It's called being direct filed. So before we go into what it's like to be direct filed and charged as an adult as a teenager, as I was when I was 15 years old in Palm Beach County, let's break down another system failure. There is no excuse for what this kid did. And if he thinks he was bullied in school bad, wait till he gets to YO. Wait till he gets to that direct file floor in that county jail. It's nothing but a bunch of youngsters, all charged with murders, armed robberies, just violent, the most violent teenagers you can ever imagine. Some in there for rapes, double homicides. And the COs, since there's really no strong male role model in most of our lives, they take advantage of that. And, they know that we look up to them, and they make us fight for their own entertainment, gamble on us, and we're young. And they do test the heart, where you come in there and you got to fight 3-4 motherfuckers lining it up, stealing food. There is no real organized crime. There is no any methodical thinking behind it. It's just violence and chaos and young dudes that are going through puberty that are filled with so much rage and hate. But at the same time, they'll be beating someone half to death and crying because they don't understand why. And the officers are pushing it. Go, go, go. They love it. They get off on that shit. But let's look at his life. So before anything, his mother is a severe drug addict. The cops and CPS, Child Protective Services, were called multiple times to his house where she was nodding out on the front lawn. She was keying his car, arrested with fentanyl. The dad, who's also going to prison and probably going to be in there for life, is also a drug addict, violent, domestic, and that house is just a house of horrors. Now, there is no pity, because I grew up in a house of horrors. I was around chaos and I had a home where I was doing good in school, but I didn't want to bring anybody around me from my sports teams or from school because I was embarrassed of what I had going on at home. So I gravitated towards the more violent and reckless kids that were living in the same type of environment as I was. But not this kid. They kept it all away. So with all that going on, me as a father, I would have immediately removed my son from that situation, get him help, and just cut ties with that mother. But no, they stayed just using and fighting. And he's seeing all this at 14, 15 years old, getting bullied at school and just a meek little kid. So what does the father do? He gets him a gun, a rifle. Now, that's not uncommon to teach your son to hunt and fish, especially in those country areas. What is fucked up is your kid cannot handle emotions. He's around chaos and drugs and a mom that's splitting up the family and fighting the dad, and you want to buy him an AR-15 and just say, here you go. It's one thing if you see your son struggling and you talk to him and you be a strong male role model and really work with him, even homeschool him if he's having a hard time. And if you want to teach him the outdoor life, you get the rifle and you show him everything, but you lock that motherfucker up where he can never get that. Nope. But once again, CPS was called, DCF was called, cops were called about the mom nodding out, the violence, the chaos that the parents are going through. They did nothing. Then he's on some social media site and says he wants to do a shooting at a school and be famous. Like one of the worst, most tragic things that I've ever seen was at Sandy Hook. And they link it to the IP address. Go find him. He's with his dad, and it was the cops doing this for the FBI, and they questioned the dad first, and the dad admits he's bullied, he can't handle emotions, the family's in turmoil, broken home. He basically had to beg the principal to, let him graduate, and his best thinking was to just give him an AR-15. So here you go. Not lock it up or take him hunting when he does good things or teach him and put that away and teach him how to be a man, be respectful, and show him a healthy existence. Nope. Once again, the system fails, the parents fail, and nobody gives a fuck until somebody dies, gets hurt, or sexually assaulted, and they don't believe anything until it happens. Nobody does anything until they have to do something. So what makes it even worse is the officers are there. They see what's going on. And they're like, so you didn't put the message on? Oh, you have a rifle in there? Oh, DCF was called? All right, well, seems like you got it under control here. They let it go. Unbelievable. So far, the parents have failed him. DCF, all those agencies that protect children failed him. The police have failed him. The school has failed him. Now, don't get it twisted. What he did was wrong. As I was bullied, I went to a school where I had to fight all the time and never crossed my mind to do something that heinous. But at the same time, not everybody's built that way, especially in today's climate where kids are getting killed just for getting their education. So, fast forward, the day of the incident, he texts his mom, I'm sorry, basically like a lead on, like I'm about to do something horrible. And then he also tells a guidance counselor he's going to do a shooting. They even tell the mom on the morning. They don't lock the school up. They don't do anything. They just brush it off after telling the mom, just be careful. Watch out. Make sure he's all right. What? He's in the school right now. Why isn't he put in handcuffs and searched? He's got an AR-15 on him, talking about doing a school shooting with all this history and the feds investigating him and him admitting he wants to do it. And it's just a normal day. Nobody wants to do anything until they have to. And unfortunately, it's always at the expense of the lives of children, teachers, good people. Always believe your kids, protect your kids. And if they're going through some bad shit in a toxic life, remove them from there. Teach them how to be righteous. And he goes to school. After all that, shoots, I think, a total of 13 people, kills 4, 2 juveniles, 2 teachers, and 9 other wounded. His father is also in jail, probably going to get life for, basically reckless endangerment of children or whatever they labeled it as, second-degree murder charges, involuntary manslaughter, and probably a lot more charges from all the wounded people. And the fact that the mother is in charge for any of this neglect, the mother was arrested for child neglect and got caught with dope on her when they went to go arrest her for the neglect. I don't get it. I have a son, and I would never, ever let him be in an environment like that. And if I was ever in a toxic situation, we would leave and we'd start over. Any of that domestic shit, that choking shit, that coward fucking bullshit, that stalking shit that he had to see his dad doing, his mom doing, I don't fucking play that. Don't come near my kid with that bullshit, because I know the system will fail you every single time, but I won't. I'll never fail my son. So when you get charged as a adult, as a juvenile, first thing happens is you get direct file. Now, fortunately for me, I was direct filed at the age of 15 and charged as an adult. So they bring you to basically a floor where it's all juveniles with murder charges, rape charges, the most violent, just unmanageable youth in your county, all facing life, 40 years, 20 years, charged as adults. And it is wild. It's nothing but fighting, and the COs take advantage of the fact that there is no strong male role model in most of our lives, and they play like they are, but they just make us all fight each other for their entertainment. There's no organized crime. There's no purpose to it. It's just all violence and chaos. These kids are beating the shit out of each other, half to death, test the heart, fighting 3-4 dudes, stabbings, half beat to death. And they're crying at the same time because they're still young kids wanting to be loved. It was the hardest time that I ever had to do. Out of all this time I went through as an adult, the stabbings and the just wars and riots, this was the hardest time because I had no idea who I was or what to feel. And eventually you get sentenced first as a YO, a youth offender. And even if you have a life sentence, especially him being young, could probably spend about 4 or 5 years where you thought you were getting bullied in high school. Oh, you're about to see a next level of torture. These youngsters in these wild camps torture you. And if you're not about that life, you're going to be a junjun. You're going to be just completely obliterated. Bullying is probably a luxury at this point. What he did, there is no excuse. Always protect your kids, listen to your kids, and help them. Stay out, stay free. us. Rest in